Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to share all the details about our fall cruises on Celiac Cruise. So we wanted to give everybody a moment to get on the webinar. We had a lot of people who signed up who said they were not going to be able to make it. So this webinar is going to be recorded, and we'll be sending it out to everyone that registered tomorrow. So if those of you watching on the webinar, feel free to listen all the way to the end because we'll have Q&A at the end. And if we don't get your question, feel free to email us your questions tomorrow or the next day after you get a chance to watch this. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. Maureen?
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. One quick note, as Connie said, we will be answering questions at the end. You'll see at the bottom a Q&A box. Feel free to ask them as you think of them, but just drop them in the Q&A box so they're all in one place so we can answer them easily. So thank you so much. We have two special guests on the call tonight that I will let Connie introduce. So we wanted to bring the specialists with our cruise lines here to share a little bit too. So, Connie, who's here?
Awesome. Well, we want to welcome Amy from Alma Waterways. Hi, Amy.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, it's so nice to have you on board. And we also have Steve from Oceania.
Hi, friends.
Steve has been with us before on lots of webinars about Oceania. So our two fall cruises are going to be on Alma Waterways and also Oceania. So we wanted to get the experts, as Maureen said, on the call with us because we want to get their insight and their input as to why these are such great options for our guests. So without further ado, Maureen, why don't you tell us a little bit about this whole thing and how it started and why we do celiac cruises?
Of course. Well, those little people there, first off, are not so little anymore. One is 6'3" and the other one is 5'11". But this is how it began. That little guy, Peter, who you can see his face, he was the first of many in my family to be diagnosed with celiac disease. And I know many of you are here because you had a similar journey as my family did, but we realized pretty quickly how challenging travel was having to eat consistently gluten-free. So we needed to find a way. We also realized pretty quickly that not only was the food hard to find, but you also really felt that social emotional impact of, wow, this doesn't feel so vacation-like anymore because you were constantly worrying and wondering what you were going to eat and what was next. So Connie and I met rather serendipitously in a line, ironically, and I had this idea, what if we made cruise ships gluten-free? And that was in 2018. We are proud to say we just finished our 30th cruise just a few weeks ago, quite a milestone. And, our first cruise was in 2020, and we all took a little break after that. So, really, these cruises had started again in 2022. So, most of them have taken place in that short period of time. So, it's been an amazing journey. So many of you we've had the chance to get to know. It's really become one big happy family because I think there's one thing that's connecting us that makes us pretty special. So yes, we work with obviously Alma Waterways, Oceania, and Royal Caribbean, and we could not ask for better partners to kind of help us through this. So yeah, that's the reason this all came to be. That little dude there, among many others. So yes.
Awesome. Thank you. So, as Maureen said, we just celebrated our 30th cruise since 2020. We have sailed with probably almost 10,000 guests since 2020, and we continue to add more sailings every year, and our sailings sail out. So, we want to make sure that you get a chance to get on one of these fall cruises if you possibly can fit it into your itinerary. So, our commitment is the Celiac Cruise standard. So our standard is dedicated gluten-free. It has to be dedicated or it's not part of what we do. So that means closing a restaurant, closing a kitchen, buying out a full ship like Ama. So, Maureen, you want to talk a little bit about some of these commitments?
Of course. Well, obviously, we all know that we could probably read labels inside out ourselves, but we also work very closely with the Celiac Disease Foundation to have additional eyes on everything. So, what happens is Connie and I are on board a week before every single cruise, many times many cruises earlier to do a site inspection as well to kind of walk through with the culinary team how to safely execute these cruises. There are certain ships that don't work for us because we've identified that we cannot safely execute them. The whole process with Oceania, I mean, it was amazing. We flew down to Miami, we sat around a boardroom many, many hours trying to figure out how we could ensure our guests had the same experience the rest of the ship did, but in a safe way. So, and again, it's a meaning of partnership to make sure that every single one of our guests could have that equal experience on an Oceania ship as well as on the waterways. And that's what we have achieved. So, yes, every single detail is reviewed. So, essentially, we check every single ingredient, every single label is read. Every menu is reviewed. We're asking what sauce is this? What is going in it? So it's like every single cruise, we're doing it the first time. So we do that just because, things happen, as we all know, but they have not happened on our cruises, and we're very proud to say. And I think that has to do with our protocols and what we do. The entire crew is also trained on celiac disease, which makes me smile a little bigger because I think there's a real impact that we are having on the cruise industry and the hospitality. I think, think about the month after we leave these ships. All of these people have had a few minutes of education on celiac disease and they know what it is. So when a guest comes along later, they'll have that knowledge. So that makes me pretty proud knowing that we are continuing to spread awareness and education of why we have to eat like this. So, but yes, that the entire crew, culinary to servers to the kids clubs on the big ships and things like that, are trained to make sure they know what is to come the next week. So yes, I mean, every detail is reviewed just so you all can finally get on board and relax, which is what we work so hard to do.
Yes. Well, the first cruise coming up this fall is going to be on Oceania. So I wanted to spend a couple of minutes showing you a little bit about the Vista and a little bit about the itinerary. We're going to be sailing from downtown New York up through New England and up into Canada. We're going to be going down the St. Lawrence River. Absolutely gorgeous. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But the itinerary is just breathtaking, and the scenery is right in that fall time. So we wore our fall clothes to make it look a little bit more fallish here on the call. But we're excited about this unbelievable itinerary. So you get to go see all these ports of call and then come back and enjoy all the amenities on the ship. And you're going to be so excited to see what all the ship has to offer. So these are the ports of call, and this is all on our website as well at celiaccruise.com. But I wanted to kind of ask Steve to help me kind of navigate this video that doesn't have sound because we want to tell you what you're seeing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful ship tour. I mean, the Vista came out, it started to set sail just in October of 2023. So it's still so new, so beautiful, so elegant, so gorgeous. Here's a beautiful shot of the pool deck. What Oceania Cruises stands behind, or the three main pillars, if you will, that we stand behind would be we're smaller ships. The largest ship at the moment holds just about 1,200 guests, including the Vista, which we're highlighting. We have some of the best guest to staff ratios in the industry. For every 3 guests, there's 2 staff members. But my favorite statistic is for every 10 guests, there's 1 chef on board our ships. And it leads into the hallmark of the brand, which is the cuisine. We invest very heavily into the ingredients of our food. And, Connie and Maureen could definitely attest to this. We've already done a sailing on the Vista. It was amazing. We took such good care of our celiac, members. I can't say enough good things about our staff and how they treated everyone, and the food was just phenomenal, wasn't it?
It really was. I want to show you, sorry, I'm doing some here. This is our restaurant. So I want you to look at the restaurant here. This is called Ember, and this is where we'll be for the entire sailing. This is privatized just for us, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just for us, privatized just for us. And they run room service out of here for our guests. So all of the room service and all of the meals are in this one restaurant. So Oceania really blew it out of the park for this one, I think.
We did remove Ember, so now it's going to be Jacques, our French
It's
metropolitan cuisine restaurant, but same thing. It's the same restaurant you saw in that video. It's beautiful.
They just renamed it, but yeah, it's their signature restaurant and they gave it to us. How does that make you feel, right? So the thing about fall is the beautiful colors, but the places that you're going are going to be so beautiful in the colors. And the little towns and the big cities are all just quaint and a beautiful experience. You're able to walk around and enjoy the scenery, but yet there's not huge crowds. It's off season in terms of like where the kids are out of school and it's so crowded and so it's not. It's the perfect time of year to sail, but it's not snowing yet either, right? Usually. So it's really a great time to see the views from the vista. And here's just some photos of some of the great places we're going to be going. If you can imagine just enjoying these from the ship themselves, much less from the going off and seeing these beautiful places. Quebec City is one of my favorites. Sailing up the St. Lawrence River is just amazing. It's just a great cruise.
And we may have some plans in the works for some gluten-free tours in some of these places. So stay tuned.
Yes, that would be great.
Mhm.
So this is our restaurant, as we talked about. You got to see it in the video. It used to be called Ember, now it's called Jacques. Jacques is the signature restaurant for Oceania. It is an open kitchen concept, which is what we love. Our chefs were there just making the food for us. It was really an amazing, it's probably the most elegant, private, dedicated gluten-free restaurant you'll ever go to, much less on a ship. So, wow, it was just outstanding. The thing is that what they did, and we can talk about this kind of at length, but you can see like the bottom right photo of the cheese plate. So they brought elements of all of their private restaurants into our restaurant for us so that we didn't feel left out. We got the best of everything. So a couple of nights on our menu, we'll have items from the Polo Grill. A couple of nights on the menu, we'll have Toscana. A couple of nights on the menu, we'll have red ginger. So all of those are prepared gluten-free in our dedicated gluten-free restaurant. So you get all the great menu items right there. I mean, there was some tableside Caesar salad. There was this big wheel of Parmesan cheese that they grated from. There's the olive oil sommelier that talks about what's your favorite olive oil to go with your favorite bread. It's really just amazing. And those are real photos of our real food that we had on our cruise in our dining room.
It's just phenomenal to have your own designated galley or kitchen. It's just kind of unheard of on a bigger cruise ship like ours.
Sure.
Mhm.
And as we mentioned, they're world-renowned chefs. Everything is, Maureen already talked about the training and all that gluten is removed. Everything is restocked with gluten-free items, which we've checked and rechecked. Every guest has the most amazing experience without having to worry about it. How amazing would that be, right?
More real photos. I mean, Oysters Rockefeller, like that's just something that is usually a big no. And yes, you can. And I think we had two nights that we were able to have them. So, I mean, again, I really have to say photos don't do justice because the food was just absolutely unbelievable. And the bread, they baked a lot of their bread on board. And like the planning process of it, which I'm lucky to be involved in terms of sourcing certain flowers and things like that, like just the care and almost the same way. Like they know that we're the specialists. We eat like this all the time. So, well, what flour should we use for this? Or what would you recommend that we look up? Which just tells me a lot of, yes, they want their products to be equivalent to what they normally produce, but, reaching out to a partner to ask, guidance on what to have is just really awesome. So it was really special.
More real photos. I don't know if this is a good thing to show at 7 p.m. at night or not. I don't know who's eaten and who hasn't, but wow, the desserts were just incredible. The galleys are, the chefs are Michelin star quality. The galleys are Michelin star quality. The open kitchen contest concept was incredible. Jacques Pepin there in the middle is the culinary expert in the top person. Steve, you want to kind of mention that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's the world-renowned famous headmaster chef. He's brought the culinary experience to Oceania Cruises that some say rival that of onshore Michelin star quality restaurants, and I can certainly believe that. He's really handed down the reins to Alexis Qualready and Eric Barali, who's pictured to the left of him here. They have kept his culinary experience alive. It is phenomenal. I still tout Oceania Cruises as the best food at sea personally, and I've been in the industry for going on 10 years. My father's been in the industry for over 40 years, so I've been on cruises since I was a baby. And this is just some of the mo most remarkable food. And even Jacques Pepin's daughter, Claudine Pepin, works with us on a consultative basis. So it really shows you how much we care about the experience overall. And I was reading some of the questions that people are asking live. I mean, if one restaurant is dedicated for celiac guests, how many other eating establishments are on the ship? Well, there will be a few more eating establishments, but we want to keep you to our own designated kitchen or galley just to keep you safe. If Connie, I mean, if you want to talk to that, if they're more comfortable with going to some of the other specialty dining venues, they're more than welcome. You're allowed multiple reservations at no additional charge, but
Yeah, so because they closed the restaurant for us for 10 nights, then that's where we go. So we had a couple of folks that thought about going to some of the other restaurants, but they changed their mind after the second night because they realized they weren't missing out on anything. And the great thing about Oceania is that no other guest on board the ship complained that we closed the restaurant because it was handled so perfectly and everyone knew why we were there and they knew what our purpose was and why we couldn't go eat other places. And everybody understood, and it was an incredible experience. So,
plus we shared entrees from Jacques with the guests in like our main dining room and the other specialty restaurants, so they didn't feel left out. So it worked out really well.
they were perfect. Yeah. So we already talked about breakfast, lunch, and dinner offered. Room service came from our dedicated gluten-free restaurant. We had quick service locations with some gluten-free items and hors d'oeuvres and snacks, and we had a wine tasting. Yes, Maureen.
I would just like to share one other thing that was pretty magnificent. So, the large events that you have in the lounge, the hors d'oeuvres and the snacks, those were all gluten-free. The bar snacks throughout the entire ship were all gluten-free because we all can say it's not that hard, right? So, Oceana made that commitment so we could again participate in those type situations, which I mean, it was such a, and nobody said anything. Nobody knew the difference. All of the like, even the past hors d'oeuvres with the bread, gluten free. So it was just really nice to again be able to sit in an environment and just not have to worry and feel normal. Tea time. I should have had a picture of tea time here. It was not only tea time, it was also like pastry time. There was a rolling cart full of gluten-free pastries and such that you had the option to have every day at 3 o'clock, should you want that, right in time before dinner again. So you will not go hungry. But not only was the quality of what you were experiencing was something else. So
Wonderful. And this was my favorite. I might have shed a tear. I got to go to a culinary cooking class at the Culinary Center. This was a fundraiser event for the Celiac Disease Foundation. We're going to have another one on this cruise coming up in October. So you pay to attend this cooking school, and you can see a couple of our guests there on the right. We got to drink while we were cooking, which is kind of cool. And then we got to eat the food that we cooked, which was even better. So it's in a private area, the Culinary Center. It's a highlight of the cruise. I had the best time in the world cooking. I learned so many things, and I cook all the time. I love to cook. And I learned so many things from the cooking demonstration and then I got to eat the food too. It was great. But we have, you know, coffee and conversations. We have times where we get together and just talk through, whatever's on your mind. So lots of times to get together and lots of times to eat too. Here's just some beautiful pictures. Steve, you want to talk for a couple of minutes?
I mean, yeah, that's the main staircase on deck five. That's actually a rendering. We do have some, I think, live pictures that we can share with you guys. But the Grand Lounge. I mean, we have the wonderful theater that you can visit every single evening. We'll have beautiful Broadway style shows going on. If you don't want to go to the theater every single evening, we have gorgeous lounges throughout the ships. The Martinis Bar pictured here. You'll have live music, maybe a pianist or a string quartet. I've had one of my favorite cocktails at the Founders Bar on the Vista. The Benevolent Dictator was the name of it. It actually comes from one of our founding fathers named Bob Binder. He has a winery in California, and they take his red blend and freeze it into a ball and mix it with a special bourbon, which I thought was so strange, but it was phenomenal, delicious. It's my new favorite cocktail, and they put it in the glass enclosed box, and they filled up with the hickory smoke. It's just that mixology that was just phenomenal. You can see this is a private spa terrace. So it's mainly meant for concierge level and above. But if you're below concierge level, you can still have access to the spa terrace. It's a nominal fee per person per day if you'd like to do it and you're not in the concierge level. But it has that private, long, rectangular pool with the cascading waterfalls that you can stand under and the water hits your back. It is just so relaxing. We have the 18-hole putt-putt course, of course, wonderful pickleball. We host mahjong sometimes on board, mahjong tournaments. We have bingo, the Horizons Lounge where we do, as Maureen was talking about, the afternoon tea session. Phenomenal. I mean, it's become so popular. It's around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You're getting those pastries, those little finger food sandwiches, some delicious coffee, tea, and then as you can see picture here, all the beautiful accommodations on board, the wonderful neutral color tones on the Vista with the gold hints. I love it personally. Uh, it, you know, it, I don't know what else to say. It's just such a wonderful company.
Mhm. Awesome. Thank you. And the Oceania Vista why I picked this is because we're going to Canada, New England, and we're going down the St. Lawrence River. It's really going to be great. So now it's time to kind of switch gears. Wow. I love that.
That was a great video.
So, yes. So, Amy, we're going to talk to you for a few minutes about the Hungary to Romania cruise on my birthday,
Oh,
October 26th.
exciting.
Yes. So, many of us have sailed on the Danube, from Budapest up to Vilshofen or Vilshofen down to Budapest, but many of us have not sailed on the lower Danube. So I know you have, Amy. Tell us about this.
I have. I have actually done it on the exact ship that you are going to be sailing on. So really an incredible itinerary and very different. So if you've river cruised before, forget everything that you know because these countries are so unique and the sailing is some of the most beautiful. Actually, I was just sitting here getting hungry looking at these amazing pictures from Oceania and I have our brochure next to me. I don't know if you can see even you can't even see it, but we picked a photo of the lower Danube to be on our brochure. That is how beautiful this section of the river is. So a lot of places less discovered. So maybe not everybody's been to Serbia and Bulgaria and Romania. And this is such an incredible way to see them from the water and then also experience that time on land, but and also have the safety net of the Celiac Cruise to come back and have that amazing food on board. So I highly recommend that you check it out. I loved it so much I did it twice. So that tells you how much I loved the Lower Danube.
Yes, those pictures look great. So the one on the left is in Budapest, and that's where we'll start. And then the one on the right is on down further, right? Is that almost in Serbia?
Yes. So the picture on the right-hand side is very close to the Iron Gates, which is one of the big draws for the scenic sailing on this one. So in between Serbia and Romania, a very exciting time. Everybody's on the sun deck. Everybody's taking pictures and videos. That whole day is incredible. You start that morning and you're at Golubac Fortress, and it's this incredible fortress. It's right on the water. So we dock right next to it. You get to tour that fortress, go up in the towers and see it from that vantage point. You can even see this big cannon that's lodged in the side of the fortress, and it's this really just powerful moment. And then you go up the river and you see the Iron Gates, and it is such a moment. There are just certain times in river cruising, going into Budapest is another one, right? You see the parliament, and it's this, everybody can just feel it. You're looking around, you're like, isn't this so cool? This is that moment, and it is just spectacular. The history here is unlike the rest of Europe, so it really is an untouched area and way less tourists than the Upper Danube. No, no hate on the Upper Danube. We still love her, but it's spectacular. Some of the most gorgeous scenic cruising.
And just so happens we're going to be in Romania on Halloween. So we're not going to go to Dracula's castle, but I have a feeling that Raoul is going to turn our ship into some kind of Dracula's fun Halloween party, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. I love Halloween sailings. It's so fun. Make sure everyone packs their costume. It is a blast.
I love that we're going to 5 countries. Oh, look, there it is. But like 5 countries on one cruise.
That is the beauty of river cruising. There is no other way to see that much in that time and not be exhausted from getting on and off trains and really be in the destination, right? We're not just there for a couple hours. Some of these places we're there for a full day, and you really get that time to experience the culture and see what that area is known for. So this is spectacular.
And what I love so much, obviously, I love to talk about food. Um, what Ama does in general, is you're kind of mimicking the culture within the food. And that's a special treat for us because, again, to be able to have Romanian food, gluten-free Romanian food, when you're sailing through these areas, it's just, again, such a treat. So,
Maureen, why don't you tell us
yeah.
about safety in the food?
Okay, here we go. So these, as many of you know, but maybe some don't, our river cruises are 100% chartered. So those are 100% gluten-free. There is no gluten on that ship. So yes, the whole ship is 100% gluten-free. You can close your eyes and take any bite of anything that entire week and not have to worry. We are very proud to share that even the captain eats gluten-free during that sailing. So the crew is eating gluten-free. Every single person is. So, I mean, it's a neat thing for our community, I guess, also to be able to discuss that with your crew, the crew, and things like that. Sometimes in the beginning, I always laugh. I said this earlier today. The captain will be like, "Oh, do I have to do this?" And then come day 4 or 5, he's like, "Wow, this is actually really good," which is a compliment to the chef, of course, but also we all know that gluten-free food can be very, very, very delicious. So it's a special thing. But yes, every ingredient again is 100% checked when it is restocked. menus, the same thing, every single detail. Again, it's like it's our first time we've ever done it. So we do not get lazy just because we've done this so many times before. We do it again like it's the first time. So again, making sure that our guests are having the same exact experience as someone who would have sailed on a different sailing that is, a lower Danube cruise, but we're having the same food, just gluten-free, the same exact experience, those events, those parties, things like that. I love to talk about, like, even on our holiday markets cruise, we're decorating gingerbread cookies too, so it's those events are replicated just in a gluten-free way. So, we're having, what's it called, a Flushopen or Frühschoppen or something like that. It's a German party, all of that is happening too, just in a little special part of it. And what's also wonderful, and I don't think we mentioned this, Oceania also does this for us. We are able, like on long excursion days, we're able to take to-go lunches, which is a real treat. We always wish we can do this for every port of call and every cruise we take, but there are rules and laws that sometimes prevent us from doing that. But we are very happy to say that you will have a boxed lunch. Actually, you're able to hand pick what you would like. This beautiful sandwich station that's set up with snacks. Holiday beer is on board all the way over in Europe, which is an amazing treat. We also have Holiday on Oceania as well. But it's nice to be able to have that lunch when you are, out wherever. And a lot of times we're also mirroring what is happening. So I love to tell the story when we were in Vienna. I think it was one of our pre-cruises, Connie, and like the tour bus stopped and pulled up in front of this large pretzel stand. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. We need to either move the bus. The bus is not going to come here when we come back in a few months, or we have to find a solution. So we found a solution. And so, yes, the bus still went to the same location. But when you opened your lunch, what did you have? You had a beautiful soft pretzel yourself, in addition to soft pretzel bread for your sandwich. So you're having that touch of the cultural experience as well. And that is, and again, such a testament to AMA and what they do for us. So it's pretty special.
And I've traveled with a few celiac friends aboard our AMA cruises, and they have raved about the breads, the desserts. You reminded me when you said Vienna, the Wiener Schnitzel. That's usually something that they can't have because typically there is gluten in that. And just to see them light up and go, "Oh my gosh, this is so good! I'm actually experiencing the food I thought I wouldn't be able to eat." So I think what you guys do is just so incredible.
Yes.
And there's lots of places to eat, right?
Yes. So
Yes.
plenty and even
Yeah.
more now.
Yes, we have, of course, our main dining room that we now call Journeys. And we have the chef's table. So this has been our specialty restaurant. It is included, of course, in your cruise fare, multi-course, wine paired dinner. It's fabulous. We have that restaurant in a really pretty area of the ship, floor to ceiling windows, really beautiful view. And we also do offer lunch there as well. So for lunch, it is an Italian menu. So you're going to see pizzas, pastas, Italian themed appetizers, all gluten-free, of course. So it's just a fun little extra venue that you don't typically see on the rivers. So we have that and wine, lots of wine. Connie and I were talking earlier. We have over 32 types of wine during your sailing, and depending on where you're eating on the ship and what you're eating, we're pairing the wines based on that. But of course, you can always say, "Hey, I like the wine from dinner on Wednesday. Can I have the Wednesday dinner wine?" And then we'll bring you your Wednesday dinner wine.
I like Wednesday dinner wine, yes. And tea time as well. So both Oceania and Ama Waterways offers a beautiful tea time.
Yes, we also have our late night bites as well. So often I will be at dinner thinking, there's no way I cannot eat another bite. I'm going to skip breakfast tomorrow. Well, 10 o'clock comes and I'm ready for a little late night snack. So we do offer our late night bites as well. So if you do get a little peckish in the evening or nighttime, we have that for you.
And I noticed on the last one, it wasn't late night bites. It was hamburgers and hot dogs, and it was a full meal as well. This is a beautiful picture of the Chef's Table restaurant. The Chef's Table, you get to go once during the cruise. It's the same menu every night, so you wouldn't want to go more than once. But it's interesting that everybody gets a seat
I
at the
do.
Oh, Maureen
I'll
goes
go.
first.
I'll go many times.
I
It
would
is
go for
amazing.
dessert.
Yes, it's amazing. So it's just something that's included. It makes Ama a little different, and that's why we love Ama Waterways. It is a floating boutique hotel. Unlike some of the big ocean ships that go, transatlantic and transpacific, you can always see the land from either side of the ship, and you don't have to worry about weather conditions or sea days or seasickness or anything on a river cruise at all. It's a beautiful floating vessel.
Yeah, 160 guests on that one. It's 443 feet long, 38 feet wide, so much smaller than your ocean cruise type vessel. Very intimate. You get to hang out with everybody. You can't lose anybody. It's very easy to find them. When in doubt, head to the main lounge because they're probably there.
I wanted to go back to the picture here. So this is one of the ones, this is a double balcony. It has the French and the full. So the French is the one over there on the left, where you just open the door, open the sliding glass door, and the rails are right there. Whereas the full balcony is the one with the chairs outside, like a regular balcony would be. And some cabins only have the French, and some have the French and full. So we call those double balconies. And then if the cabin is a little bit bigger, we call it a junior suite. So we have French balconies, double balconies like shown, and then junior suites and even suites as well on this ship. And then there's also some window cabins on this ship that don't have a balcony. Sip and sail.
One of my favorite times of the day. So we do have an included happy hour essentially that we call sip and sail, which is what I like to call happy hour even on land because it's just a fun term to say. But this is every night, 1 hour prior to dinner. We always have included featured cocktails and then additional cocktails as well. And of course, because we love our wine, beer, and soda included at that time. One of the best parts about it is that everybody comes to the main lounge at that time and it's this fun energy. Everyone's hanging out together. We'll have some appetizers passed around, gluten-free, of course, but the value there with the included drinks, it's incredible. So you will very much love Sip and Sail. Everyone will be checking their watches saying, "Is it time yet? Is it time?" But that is an extra feature that we offer.
And that's the time that Raul talks about tomorrow too. So every night during the last few minutes of Sip and Sail, Raul will come up and talk about tomorrow's adventures so that you can plan what your day is going to be tomorrow, which is
And
interesting.
we keep talking about the wonderful Raul. Raul is our cruise manager usually, and we're just lucky that we've had the same cruise manager we're about to embark on our 11th river cruise in a few weeks to Amsterdam on the Tulips and Windmills. And Raul is our cruise manager. So that's who Raul is while we keep talking about someone named Raul. So yes, those of you who have sailed with us before know who he is. And we anticipate him being there in October as well. So you will
Yes.
get to know Raul too.
It says he said it's his favorite itinerary as well. So tell us about the new things, Amy. There's some upgraded amenities at Alma Waterways.
Yes, absolutely. So we went through a rebrand. We're still, I guess, technically going through it, but you're seeing our new colors here, our new logo, and along with that comes all kinds of new swag. So if you have sailed with us in the past, you know that we give a little gift to our guests, and we have different gifts now, but they're similar. I don't want to give away too much, right? Because it's a surprise and delight, but similar to what you know and love, but different enough that it's kind of refreshed and new. So that's really exciting, and you're going to notice a lot of little things on board. And the whole idea is that guest experience. We want you to feel like we've been waiting for you to arrive the entire time you're there. Of course, we are offering the Italian lunches now, so that's new. We are also offering an all-day menu. That's also new as well. So previously in the river cruise world, it was kind of food with meals, and then we'd had our late night bites. So now, if you don't want to sit for a formal lunch, you can kind of just order something really quick in the Lark, which is our main lounge, and maybe go to the sun deck and enjoy the fall foliage. So that is new. And then, of course, we love our wine at Ama. We love it. So, in addition to the 32 wines that we're offering included in your cruise fare, we do have additional higher caliber wines, if you will. All of our wines are amazing. Let me just say that. But we have things for purchase as well, champagne, etc. So I'm loving our new look, and AmaVerde will be looking very refreshed when you see her because she will be newly painted and she'll have the new logo and everything on there too. So I might have to get my way onto this cruise as well so I can see her updated.
Absolutely. Do you
You want
want
me?
to talk about, yeah,
Yeah.
the wellness
Okay.
host?
Two of my favorite things about how we do things in the river cruise space is one, we love wellness. We love wine, we love wellness. Okay. So we are going to have a wellness host on board, and he or she is going to be doing guided fitness classes. So that could be yoga, even chair yoga if you have mobility issues, Pilates, even just simple stretching after a long day of excursions and walking or biking. And then in addition to that, they'll go all the way up to high intensity interval training. They'll do weightlifting sessions. There is a gym on board. We also have a bike fleet. So there are some bike rides that are guided, and you can take a bike out on your own and go explore as well. So if you like to stay active, we have a lot to offer in that space. I personally love the champagne yoga in the morning where you have a little sparkling wine afterwards or cheers your mimosa. And I am on a personal mission to dispel the rumor that river cruising is boring and people go to sleep right after dinner. Not true. So I love, love, love our onboard entertainment. So we do bring local entertainment onto the ship. And then we also have entertainment existing on the ship. So singing, dancing, silent disco, one of my favorites. We did karaoke in November. It was terrible, but great all at the same time. I was the terrible part because my singing is not the best, but really something for everybody, even music trivia and things like that, where, you're not maybe you're not a dancer, but you still want to hang out. So we have a lot to offer. And if you like to hang out and have fun, then you should definitely go on the sailing.
The thing I love is that, the excursions are included. And so you get to not only sail by beautiful places, but you get to be immersed into them. And you don't just see things, you learn about them. I remember our very first river cruise, we went and we had all these great excursions where the tour guide told us all about everything. And then on the way home, we stopped by Paris and we went to the Eiffel Tower. And my little girl at the time looked at me and said, "Mommy, is somebody going to tell us what this is all about?" And I was like, "Oh, no, we don't have a guide here." But it is so great to learn about where you are and about what you're seeing. So I love that. And you can be at your own pace.
Absolutely. And a lot of our staff in this particular area are from these countries. So, both sailings that I've done on the lower Danube, I love talking to them and listening to their stories. And they love sharing about their countries. They're very proud of where they're from. And because they're not the typical countries that tourists go to, they really light up and they love telling you about what it was like to grow up there and what's their favorite thing to do at this cruise port. Where do they go to hang out? And just little things like that. They love, love, love when you ask them questions.
There's that bike fleet. And you can sign up for the bike excursions, which are all included, complimentary, and they're led by the person on board, the wellness host. So the local wines, we've talked about how great those are. Free beer and pretzels. We love the gluten-free beer. That comes from Holidaily, which is in Golden, Colorado. It's a gluten-free beer, not a gluten-removed beer. So it's great for those with celiac disease, and we love it, don't we?
We do. Yes. No, I mean, it's quite a process getting it over. Find me sometime. I can tell you some good stories of things gone wrong that some of you never knew about, but we always ended up having beer there. Certain things have happened at customs that, kegs were stuck, things like that. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure you guys have, a vacation experience that maybe feels like it used to. There was a question about non-alcoholic gluten-free beer, and as soon as I get Holidaily to make one, we will have it. The issue that we have is that all of the beer locally, again, is gluten reduced. And we really don't stand by that as it relates to what our guests we want consuming. So as a result, I don't have a non-alcoholic beer that I can get shipped overseas yet because I can't buy it locally. Not that I'm personally buying going into stores, but we're unable to buy it locally because they're all gluten removed. And yes, so as soon as Holidaily, come on, Karen, gets on that, we will have it over there.
We do
Awesome.
have um, non-alcoholic wines, and we also offer mocktails as well. So if you wanted to have one of those options with, without the alcohol, you're absolutely welcome to do that.
Wonderful.
Mocktails have become very popular.
Hmm.
Yes, absolutely. So Amy, why the Lower Danube? Why this itinerary?
Well, this itinerary is just so unique. I always refer to this as the exotic of Europe. So we always, we have these European river cruises that we're known for. We have exotics like the Nile and South Africa on the Chobe, but this is the exotic of Europe. This is a lesser traveled area. This is a very unique history. Everything from the Romans to modern day history there. They have so much to offer. It's also one of the most beautiful rivers. I love the Danube in general, but this one will steal your heart. This ship is incredible as well. I mentioned I've sailed on this one. I love the decor. It's so cute. It is that boutique hotel that's going to take you on your journey with you. So I would strongly encourage you to check this one out. This is very different. When I tell people, oh, we're doing the Lower Danube, you say the countries you're going to, everyone goes, wow, I've never thought about going there. So you have a little bragging power too once you go.
Yes. And
Well,
the
I
ship
also
too.
think, just
Yes.
to jump in, when you think of, we all know Italy and places like that, you can find pretty decent gluten-free options, a plethora of them. I don't think there's quite as many in some of these locations. So I think about, wow, this might be a way to go see those places that, it's a little bit easier because you have the ship and the food there available as well. So something else to think about until Romania and all of these other locations catch up to Italy. So
Amy, there's a question in the Q&A. It says, what will we get to see in Croatia?
So the Croatia portion, this is funny because every time I talk about this sailing, I always think of this. My stepmom went with us when we did the first round on gems, and she went, I thought there were islands here. It's not that part of Croatia. So it is the inland Croatia. We go to Vukovar, which is a really beautiful town, and it's got some very unique history. So you'll see that. The scenery on this sailing is just indescribable. So you get to experience that. And then there is a small town that is actually in Hungary, but it's right on the border of Hungary and Croatia. So you could put one foot in both countries and say that you've been to both all at once. I will tell you that the amount of time in Croatia is very short. It's one day. So you're not truly experiencing the full country of Croatia, but you are seeing the very unique side of Croatia, the lesser traveled side of Croatia, and it is spectacular. One of the excursions, you can go up to this really high vantage point and you feel like you can see the entire country. It is just stunning. So I would strongly recommend any of the excursions there because that day you can pick to go to a different country or go to Croatia. You must do Croatia. It's just so unique in that area.
Wonderful. There was a couple of questions. Here's one. How fluent are your tour guides in English?
Very fluent. So all of our guides are fully English speaking. So there are no issues there as far as understanding and things like that. Um, every single one of them is going to be very knowledgeable of the area, of course, right? Because they're local guides. When I was just there this past November, we had a guide at Galjubac Fortress. It had us in stitches laughing. I mean, this guy was cracking a joke every minute. So we are very thorough with our vetting system for our guides. We have incredible guides and all English speaking.
Okay. Um, so dietary restrictions, additional dietary restrictions. Maureen, you want to cover because you can answer for both Alma and Oceania. I'm not sure what cruise they're asking about. So let's talk about additional dietary restrictions.
Well, yeah, it looks like it came in on the earlier side, but I can tell you, I can answer very positively for both cruises. They both do a phenomenal job. I think any guest who has sailed with us on either line would tell you that additional dietary restrictions were managed wonderfully. We ask that you communicate that in advance. It being a smaller group of people, there's just a little bit more touch and feel that way. So you're able to, like on AMA on day one, you have a meeting with the culinary team and you review the additional dietary restrictions, and they make sure that you're kind of taken care of through the remainder of the week. And the same thing goes on Oceania. So you'll have kind of that touch point in the beginning, and from that point on, things are kind of taken care of. So yes, it's really, really, really well done. So, and we recognize, we know, and we've kind of set that up. Everyone knows that, a lot of people with celiac obviously also have some additional dairy and things like that. So, they're very well prepared for us from a stocking perspective.
And I'm going to ask each one of you, Amy and Steve. So, Amy first, my friend and I both enjoy adult beverages outside of meals. How much is an extra drink on AMA Waterways? And then Steve will come to you. So, Amy?
Yeah, so if there's anything that's not included in the sip and sail menu or if it's outside of mealtime, we are between 5 and 8 euros, so about half the price of what a drink would cost you in the US. And no, no, don't listen to me, Stephen, but probably about a quarter of the price on an ocean cruise. I'll give you an example. I am an espresso martini girl. I will get an espresso martini every night. It's not an included drink. It's 7 euros. So depending on what the exchange is, it is definitely half the price of here. So yeah, and my husband will always get an old fashioned. That's 8 euros. So very, very, very reasonable prices for drinks that are outside of our inclusions.
And Steve, what about our group on our sailing for our people who booked on the Celiac Cruise? What do we get?
Yeah, what I mean, I gotta mention first, we got the full premium beverage package for this group. So I mean, that's kind of, rare in the industry, in the ocean cruise industry, I should say. So you can walk up to the bar at any time, get a premium cocktail, whether that's Tito's, Belvedere vodka, whatever you're into, Bombay Sapphire gin, that's all included. We also have the 1 hour cocktail party we should probably talk about. That's gonna be fun. We set that up on board. I think we included a bottle of champagne in everybody's stateroom for this group. Connie, we've worked out a lot of good stuff for you guys.
Yes, we did. Yes. Okay, thank you both. Somebody's asking about pre and post. So with AMA Waterways, we try to offer a pre or a post if we can safely do so. So everything we do is only if we can do it safely. So we're still working with AMA Waterways to try to find a pre-cruise hotel for our Lower Danube pre-cruise if are able to offer that. For Oceania, Oceania does offer some pre-cruise hotels. They are not part of the Celiac Cruise program. We also send ideas of places that you might can book, but those are just hotels that are near the embarkation port. So it's not like it's vetted. It's not a gluten-free hotel. It's just a place to stay close to where the ship is going to be. So somebody asked about what airport is recommended. It depends on which cruise you're talking about. If you're talking about Oceania, you'll fly into any of the New York, airports and fly home out of Montreal. So if you're going on the AMA Waterways, Amy, you're going to fly into Budapest and fly out of
Bucharest.
Yes. And both of those are very easily done, and transfers are easily taken care of through the cruise line as long as you book them in advance. Um, so, um, Dress code for either of the two ships. Would either of you like to start? What's your dress code for dinner?
You want me to
Yeah.
go?
We, oh,
No, you can go if you want, Amy.
we do a lot of events together, can you tell? Uh, So we are country club casual, which I believe is the exact phrase that Oceania uses. So for gentlemen, if we're talking about October, it's likely going to be pants. I'm in Florida, so everybody wears shorts here, but it's going to be pants because it will be pants weather. You could wear a nice button up. You could wear a polo. It's very rare that you'll see a sport coat for a gentleman. And then for ladies, a blouse, slacks, a skirt, a dress, whatever you're into. I'm a dress gal, so I will usually wear a dress, but nothing over the top. So we're very come as you are. You'll see a lot of sweaters. You will see jeans. Just, something that you would wear when you go out to dinner at home.
Yeah, despite the stigmatism, Oceana is not, we're not pretentious at all. And we've actually become a little bit even more relaxed. Now we do allow dress jeans, if you will, in our specialty dining venues, as long as there's no, holes or tears in your jeans, you're more than welcome to wear jeans. You'll see the occasional gentleman wearing a blazer, as Amy said, but I'll wear a polo, when I go to the specialty dining venues during the evening. And during the day I'm wearing relaxed clothes.
Yeah, so during the day, we always tell our guests to be sure to wear comfortable walking shoes because most places are not like America, and that the cobblestone streets and the sidewalks are not ADA compliant as much as they are over here. So, just casual clothes with good walking shoes. Let's see, we answered that one. The prices you quote on the website are US dollars. Will you be discussing these tonight? So all of our prices on our website are in US dollars, and the price on our website is for a cabin for two per person. And then if there's any gratuities or anything that has to be added, that's in right underneath the prices as well. The way that you sign up for any of our cruises is to visit that page on celiaccruise.com and complete the registration form, and then pay the deposit. It's really quite easy. In what country would the pre-cruise be if it happens? It would probably either be in Hungary or maybe I don't know, somewhere else.
They're probably hungry.
Stay tuned.
Dot,
Oh.
dot, dot.
Dot,
If
dot,
I
dot.
say anything, it's not going to be a surprise anymore. Judy's asking about single cruisers. So, the cruises are based on double occupancy, and most cruises, are for two. And so, someone single would need to pay for two. Both of these cruise lines do offer some single cabins. They do sell out really quickly. And so I would just suggest that you check into that early. Feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to help you answer that questions. Um, So someone says you mentioned booking airfare with the cruise line, but we're new to cruising. What does this mean? Great question. So both cruise lines offer help with airfare. So you can reach out to AMA Waterways, you can reach out to Oceania, and we will walk you through step by step, and they will help you with your flights. And if you get flights through them, then I believe transfers are included. I know they are for AMA. Steve, I believe they are with you too, right? With Oceania? Transfers? Yes. So we'll walk you through there and hold your hand through the whole thing.
I saw one. Is there a seminar on the Bahama cruise? Oh, I'll answer that. I'll separately on this one. Are there any concerns to be aware of for LGBT travelers? I'll let Steve and Amy answer that, but as a Celiac Cruise community, 100% no. We are very proud that we have many travelers that have joined us. So,
Yeah, not at all. We never had an issue with any LGBTQ anything. I have plenty of friends in the industry, that work on our ships. So, and I have plenty. I work with other travel advisors, just like Connie and Maureen, who are also part of that community, and they sail with us. They have a great time. I've never heard of a bad experience in my 10 years, and my father's never told me of a bad experience in regards to that personally on Oceania, or he works for Region 7 Seas, our sister company. So
We are very LGBTQ plus friendly. So actually, a few of my friends who are in that community sailed with me in November on this exact itinerary, and they were a little apprehensive about the destinations. I know that can be a concern because you're going to a new place and you're just not sure if you'll be accepted, to be quite honest. And they felt very comfortable the entire time in all 5 countries that we visited. So that was something that I noted.
Perfect. There's a question about Oceania, the maximum number of guests on the Oceania trip who would need to be gluten-free. I asked because this cruise seems to be a mix of both types of guests. So, Suzanne, the question is, we have a dedicated gluten-free restaurant that we purchased for the entire sailing. So our restaurant will be full with our guests, and then the rest of the ship will be running just as normal. It's just that you have all the amenities of the ship, you have everything that the ship has to offer, but our 150 people get to come into our restaurant and eat with us and have the exclusivity of the gluten-free meals in a dedicated gluten-free restaurant for the entire sailing. So let's see. Do you offer a mix of cuisines on board like Asian or other international flavors? So with Steve, absolutely. With Oceania, there's the Asian restaurant, and with Amy, the food. There is some Asian infused flavors with some of the meals. It's not like that you have sushi or anything like that, but it's a good variety, I think.
Yeah, we do quite a big variety. We are a la carte and buffet for breakfast and lunch, so you will see a few little Asian inspired things that are on our lunch menu, and then dinner is typically more locally inspired. So, and then of course, if we have any picky eaters, we have our always available. So we'll always have steak, salmon, burgers, that kind of thing, chicken breast if people weren't interested in whatever the meals were that night. And we do change our menu every single lunch and dinner. The only thing that stays the same is breakfast, but we still have specials. Of course, we always have omelets and eggs Benedict and things like that, but we'll have our breakfast specials.
And these last two photos are great. The bottom left is when I and my husband Brett flew to Calabasas, California, and got to meet Rudy and Christine. They are the founders and the originators of Alma Waterways. Rudy on the right he drew and designed every single ship, and he is, legendary. Christine on the left is just amazing. I remember when we first started Celiac Cruise, I had dinner with her on one of the ships, and I told her what we were doing, and she said in her German accent, which I won't try to say, but she was like, I really think we can do this, Connie. I really think we can. I would love to try it. And so, because of that dinner that night with Christine on the Danube River, we have now had 10 full ship charters, and we couldn't have done it without that partnership. Maureen, you want to talk about the bottom right picture?
Oh yeah. So I referenced this day earlier in our presentation where, we were just blown away. We came down, we thought it was just a meeting, and all of a sudden we're around a round table, the top leadership, CEO is coming in and meeting with us. I think that tells you a lot about that company and their interest in what we were doing. Shared stories about celiac, had the opportunity to kind of personally share stories about, people's impact, how it's impacted their lives. And, just both of these companies, it's just so refreshing, really, to feel how much they care. And in a world of sometimes not feeling like that, especially, from a gluten-free needs perspective, going out and sometimes feeling like you're an inconvenience. This is 100% the opposite. You feel a part of something. It's that inclusivity, which is really, really refreshing and a breath of fresh air, because you can really focus on your vacation. So a big thank you to Alma Waterways and Oceania for all you've done. It's been, we all know, extra hours, extra work, extra manpower, extra all of the things. But what I love so much is hearing how crew want to be a part of our cruises. And that is, I think, a testament to all of you because they feel the love. They know that we are just so appreciative to have safe food. And it's just really, really, really amazing. So they feel loved. We feel loved. It's one generally very emotional experience the last night. So it's a really special thing, and we really wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. So big thank you to both of you.
And thank all the hundreds of people who joined us tonight and the hundreds that are going to be watching this uh, recorded webinar later on. Once again, if you have any questions, feel free to email us. Visit us at celiaccruise.com. You can see all of our sailings, including both of these. We hope that you will join us on the fall cruises this fall. Steve, thank you so much for spending time going over Oceania with us and all the Oceania questions and all the perks you were able to get us for this amazing trip. Amy, it was so great to have you on board too, especially since you've been on this cruise. A lot of people say it looks good, but I just don't understand why this one. So I think you did a great job of explaining why this one's so important. Maureen, I see a lot more questions coming in. Are we good? Are we going to answer those later? Or
Well,
how are
I
we
want to
doing?
be respectful of people's time, so we can any activities for children on either of these cruises. So Oceania is actually adults only. That's a new policy that they've just established, I guess, just recently, right?
Yeah.
18 and above, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so it is 18 and above. AMA Waterways, I think the recommended age is, tell me, Amy,
We
8?
we allow down to age 4 actually aboard our ships. We don't have a kids club. We don't have true children's programming, but children will light up the eyes of everyone working on that ship. They love when there are kids on board. So it really just depends on the kind of traveler that your children are. If they would be interested in going on, bike rides or hikes or city tours and things like that, then I think absolutely. But if that is not their speed, then maybe they visit the grandparents.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. We
yes.
typically don't have kids on AMA Waterways. We did on the Christmas markets cruise that time. That was good. But if a child does come, they're usually very well traveled. But yeah, so I think this has been a great evening. Thank you for spending some time with us, and thank you you know, for taking your time, Steve and Amy, to be on here. We look forward to seeing all of you on one of our sailings soon, and hopefully one of these fall sailings. Maureen, you want to close it?
Yes, so please, if you have additional questions, info@celiaccruise.com. We can answer them. I just want to answer the one question about the wheat starch, gluten-free wheat starch for people with wheat allergies, because it's important to me. Yes, obviously, if there is any gluten-free wheat starch in any of our products, because we know it's very common in Europe, we tend to stay away from it, but if there's anything, maybe there's one croissant or something that it was picked up from a local dedicated gluten-free bakery in Europe that sometimes, the culinary team likes to do for us in on AMA, you will know. So if there's anything with gluten-free wheat starch, we will make sure you know about that. So, but it's very rare that that happens. So there. Okay.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We look forward to seeing you, and thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you so much.
night.
Bye. Have a good night.
Night.